The recording is started, so welcome everyone to the August Montana Accessibility Interest Group presentation. Aaron Page is our speaker today, and he's going to share the updates on math accessibility with us. He's created some wonderful resources for us to work from. And Aaron, is, I'm sure all of you know, is our student accessibility specialist at UM Online, and working on graduating soon in management information systems. So Aaron, thank you for putting all this together. This is really fantastic. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Okie dokie. Thank you, Marlene, for that introduction, and happy to put all these resources together. I hope it doesn't all fall apart when I'm trying to demonstrate it live. Technology has a habit of doing that. So Marlene, if you wouldn't mind putting the link into the chat window, everybody is welcome to pull up these web pages and follow along. I created a series of HTML pages, each one basically serving like a slide, has information about what I'll talk about on that page. Some of them also include demonstration videos. So for example, there's a demonstration video of non-visual desktop access reading an equation, demo videos of equations being read by VoiceOver on Mac OS and on iOS. So it's pretty interesting pages. You feel free to use them as you'd like. I have them just posted up on my site. You can reference them, use them however you please. So here's the list of everything that I'm planning on covering.
There are no tables on the list of 1 visited link terminology.
So first we'll go through some of the terminology that I'll talk about.
2 visited link MathML Cloud.
Just things like what, the difference between LaTeX or LaTeX, depending on how you want to pronounce it, versus MathML.
1 to 2 visited link MathML
Next we'll
Cloud.
get into some information about MathML Cloud. This is a new service out by Benetech. That's pretty neat, so I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with this service in the future.
3 visited link MathType.
Next is MathType. MathType is a program created by a company called Design Science. We actually had a gentleman from Design Science present to this group several months back, so this might be some information that you've already heard a little bit about.
4 visited link MathJax.
MathJax is, some people call it a filter. It's basically a series of JavaScripts and CSS style sheets that will affect the way that math is rendered out on a page. And there's some accessibility implications there too, so we'll talk a little bit about MathJax.
5 visited link Compatibility Grid.
Compatibility Grid on this page is just going to be a table where you can kind of see all the different what math content is supported by what assistive technology. So we'll talk about that just a little bit when we get
6
there.
visited link JAWS.
And now I get into just the specific devices. So JAWS, it supports
7 visited link NVDA plus Math Player.
plus Math Player. NVDA's math support is tied to Math Player, so those are kind of one and the
8
same.
visited link VoiceOver left paren OS X
Then we'll
right
talk
paren.
about VoiceOver on both the Mac
9
and
link VoiceOver left paren
on
iOS right pro.
iOS.
10 visited link helpful
And
resources.
then lastly is just some helpful resources that I think might be useful for people. So you can use the links on this page to jump to any of the sections specifically, and there's also previous and next controls you can
Links
use to move through the content.
10 next. Enter.
Here we go.
AaronMPage.com
So I'm gonna hit
dash
next.
accessibility group. Update Montana terminal MathML head
So-
terminology head.
Terminology. Just a few of the terms that we're going to talk about here. So
MathML heading level 4.
MathML. MathML is basically math that is in almost like an HTML form. It's designed to be put into a web document and viewed in a web browser. MathML can vary a little bit in the way that it appears visually, because each browser kind of has its own little different ways in which it displays the math content. But it's kind of like in putting headings in HTML. They might look slightly different, but they're going to still do the same things in the different browsers. So MathML is just a way that you can now provide accessible math content in a web page.
LaTeX heading level 4.
LaTeX, or LaTeX, however you want to pronounce it. I actually asked about this, and apparently you can pronounce it either way, LaTeX or LaTeX. This is math code, I would say, is probably the best way to think of this. So if you think of writing in Java to create Java-based applications, or writing in Visual Basic to create Visual Basic applications, you're using those respective programming languages to do that. LaTeX is a programming language for math, if you really want to think about it that way. The really neat things about LaTeX is that it's vast. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. You can use it in elementary math all the way through advanced calculus and high-level statistics, you name it. The downside, or at least when it comes to making LaTeX accessible, is that you actually can do your styling, your visual styling and formatting, your indentation, all your kind of visual things are done in the LaTeX as well. So it's kind of like how HTML used to be back before style sheets became popular. You actually had the less B tag in the HTML, not in a separate style sheet. And almost this is kind of the same issue that we run into with LaTeX, is when you go to parse this out to make it accessible, you have the formatting in the document that you kind of have to deal with as well.
MathJax heading level.
So MathJax, like I said earlier, it's a set of JavaScript files, and a CSS style sheets. It basically will render out MathML or LaTeX or ASCII math content that's displayed on a web page, and it provides some pretty nifty features. So it provides better scaling than just MathML that's being viewed within the web browser. So you can zoom in with MathJax, make it bigger, and it won't distort. It also is more uniform, so the way that the MathJax equation appears in Internet Explorer should be the same way that it appears in Firefox, should be the same way that it appears in Google Chrome. So you get kind of more consistency in the way that it appears. You were able to actually copy MathJax into Microsoft Office products. So say you wanted to copy the equation into Microsoft Word, MathJax has the ability to do that. And now MathJax has the ability to make equations accessible too. So, for example, you have a LaTeX equation in a web page that's being rendered via MathJax. That equation is now accessible to JAWS and to NVDA.
MathML Cloud heading level 4.
MathML Cloud, going to have a page that goes really in depth into this, but MathML Cloud is a tool that was created by Benetech, if anybody's familiar with Bookshare. Benetech is the company that made Bookshare, or provides the service of Bookshare. It's a really nice conversion tool. So basically you can take the LaTeX, paste it into the MathML Cloud, and it will convert that out as MathML, PNG, SVG, ASCII math. It will provide you a text version of it if you want to just provide it as, say, an alt tag. So MathML Cloud is a really, really nifty service.
MathType heading level 4.
MathType, that's the product that's provided by Design Science. I mentioned that earlier. You can use it to generate equations in Microsoft Word, basically to replace Word's equation editor, and then export out those Word documents with accessible math. You can do it as MathML or as MathJax.
Wrapping to top.
So those are just the terms that you might hear me discuss in
Link
this
list
presentation.
home. N. Next. Enter.
You're going to hit the
New
next
tab
button
page.
here.
Aranet blank. Montana MathML Cloud heading level.
Okay, so MathML Cloud. Like I mentioned, MathML Cloud, it's a free service. It's provided by the Benetech organization. They are the ones who provide Bookshare. MathML Cloud, first and foremost, its main just user interface that you go to. I have the link on this page to anybody who wants to click on it and go and take a look at it. This is just where you can paste in a LaTeX equation and get out MathML or ASCII math or PNG or SVG, whichever one you want. That's just the main interface that you'll see if you go to that link that's here. It has some other features too. So they actually provide an API that ties into this service. So if application developers wanted to kind of integrate this functionality into their software, that would be available to them via that API. Some really good use case scenarios that I could see for MathML Cloud, especially first and foremost, is when you have situations where you can't put in MathML content, you have to deal with the image. MathML Cloud will actually provide you with a text description of that tech equation that you can then use as an alt tag and insert that into, say, a PowerPoint file where you can't insert MathML or MathJax or any of those other things. We'll try, here comes the fun part, try and show you guys MathML Cloud.
Update the MathX Montana Access MathML tab. Previous visited tab. Next visit tab. Address and search using Think Shift. MathML Cloud in action heading level 4. Visit.
Oh, okay. Lost track of my own pages
Heading
here.
visited
So
link.
I have a link to that on the compatibility grid. So when I get to the compatibility grid, I can actually click on this and show you guys MathML
Vertical bar.
Cloud in action.
Visited link next. Enter. rmmpage.com-accessibility group presentation-math type. RMM.
So math type.
Updates in Montana Act. Math type heading.
Math type is a tool created by Design Science. It is not free. You do have to pay for it. They offer discounts for bulk licensing, so if a whole campus or a department wants to get it, you can save a little bit of money by buying multiple copies. Math type can do a few different things. So it can be used as a converter. So let's say you have a LaTeX equation that you wanted to paste in an accessible form into Microsoft Word. You can actually do that using math type. You would copy the equation into math type, paste it in, or copy and paste it into math type, I should say. And then the output that you get from math type, you can paste that into Microsoft Word. And then using math type's save as math page feature, you can actually save that as an accessible equation that can be read using a screen reader. Math type provides several different outputs
Math type
that
heading
you
level
can
3
save
link.
as. So you can save as XHTML plus MathML or HTML plus MathJax. The results vary a little bit. The MathML that they're using, for whatever reason, the way they've got it set up, it doesn't actually manage to trigger JAWS. So JAWS is not able to read that MathML content that comes out of math type. I actually contacted their support about this, so I'll be interested to see what becomes of that. But the MathJax content that you can export out as from math type is accessible. So if you provided math type to your users who are creating documents in Microsoft Word, they can create the documents using all the regular features in Word. When they come to the part where they're going to design any equations, they just use the math type equation editor, which is added as a tab there in Microsoft Word. They use the math type equation editor to write up those equations, save as math page, which is also put into Microsoft Word when you have math type. And there you go. That math page that was just created when read by JAWS or NVDA in a web browser, those equations will be accessible. So use case scenarios, I pretty much just said the big one that I see for that is those users who are already creating their documents in Microsoft Word using the Microsoft Word equation editor. It's really a small transition to just say, hey, instead of clicking on Word's equation editor, click on the math type tab and use that equation editor. Other than that, there's really no change for them. And then for those situations where you do have the LaTeX equations, this is one way you could go about getting those converted. The only problem with using math type here, and I mentioned this when I talked about tech earlier, is that the LaTeX can include the formatting, the styling and indentation, those kind of things. And that won't work when you copy and paste that into math type and then try to stick that into Microsoft Word. It really needs to be the equation and nothing else, none of the additional styling that goes along with it. So you could not take an entire source document of tech and paste it into math type here and have that saved as math page and make that be accessible. That would not work. You couldn't do that in MathML Cloud either. MathML Cloud has that same basic limitation that it's got to be the tech equation, not the formatting and the other things that go along with it.
Blank. URL. Linked list dialog.
On this page, I also provided the URL for anybody who's interested in going to Design Science and taking a look at that.
Linked list N. Next. Enter. Next visited link. RMM right bracket greater. Update in map. Montana Access MathJax heading level 3.
So MathJax, this is one of the areas where there's been some real improvement lately. It was funny, we were supposed to do this presentation last month and had all these web pages ready to go, and because of technical difficulties I wasn't able to do this presentation. So doing it now today, I actually had to go back and update some of my documents because this is such a fast-moving field that there were changes just in the last month in terms of what devices have access to what accessible math content. So MathJax, talked about it earlier, it's a set of JavaScript and CSS files that are used to make equations look nice, provides the additional functionality such as scaling, the ability to copy and paste it into Word. It makes them look uniform in all the different browsers. There's a bunch of other features as well, and you're welcome to go to MathJax, their website, and take a look at that. I provided the link to that on here as well. From the accessibility perspective, the big things that it offers is that zooming capability, be able to zoom in on things, and now MathJax equations are accessible. JAWS version 16, they actually introduced support for reading MathJax equations right when they introduced the first iteration of JAWS 16. So this is something that's been around for almost a year now, and they're getting pretty good with it. It's still a little bit finicky, especially it was in Moodle, to get the MathJax configured right to where it would read, but that seems to be an issue that's going away. Another really nice thing about MathJax is that Moodle actually uses MathJax when it renders out equations in a Moodle course. This means that equations that are set up in Moodle using Moodle's equation editor are just out of the gate will be accessible to a screen reader user. So I'm going to try and set one up live, and we'll see how it works out.
Task switching, Alt tab, left Alt Shift tab, course colon Moodle access.
So here is a course shell we used at a presentation we did just a couple weeks back. So I'm going to try and edit the section here.
Try out heading level 3, Moodle Math dash equation editor,
So
heading
there's a
level 3
section for
link.
Moodle Math equation
Try out heading
editor.
level 3 blank. Use the app blank, but 2 blank. Heading level blank, but 2 plus B.
I've got instructions here saying create the equation a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Blank.
But listen to how this equation gets read.
But 2 plus B2 equals C2.
So it actually called that a2 plus b2 equals c2. It did not properly inform me, the screen reader user, that these are squares. They're not, a times 2 or anything like that. This is actually a squared. So this was read out incorrectly, and this is because this I just created using HTML, using the superscript tag in the HTML. So this is not using the MathJax.
Blank. Heading level 3 results.
There's a heading here for results. This is where
Moodle
we
Math
stick
dash
that results in afterward.
blank. Moodle Math heading level 3 link. Moodle Math dash log blank. Using the course turn editing on button space.
Probably will help if I turn editing on.
Blank. Heading. Topic out Moodle snap read act read Aaron auto power access of Moodle Math dash equation editor headline using the tab. Edit visited link grab enter.
Okay, so I'm going to edit this
The Moodle
area
access.
here.
Edit mode same edit. Summary edit. Space.
Edit this
Bottom of
summary.
file. Blank.
Okay,
Escape.
set my focus at the bottom of the
Edit.
area.
Expand general button. General show more buttons space.
Show
Escape.
more buttons so I can
General
use the
paragraph,
equation editor.
general summary, general screen order, general access, general horizontal, general clear for general HT, general table, general right to left, general insert, general equation edit space. Edit equation using text edit.
Okay, so now I see the equation editor, and it actually read out to the screen reader, edit the equation using text.
Tab. Save equation tab.
I'm going to go in the field here, and I'm just going to put that same equation.
Caret.
A caret 2 plus B,
Caret. Percent.
no percent sign,
Caret.
caret 2 equals C.
And. Caret.
Caret
2.
2.
Tab. Save equation button. Space.
Save.
Region summary edit tab. Restrict act.
Moodle automatically
Edit.
takes care of everything else for me.
Except general paragraph, general book. Cancel, save changes, space.
Save.
Main region. Page has 14 regions. Topic outline heading.
Okay, now I'm back on the main page. Let's see if it works.
Accessible heading, powerful heading level. Moodle Math dash equation editor. Try out result blank. A squared plus b squared equals c squared math content.
So, I'll make it play it one more time just so everybody can hear
Blank.
it.
A squared plus b squared equals c squared math content.
It says a squared plus b squared equals c squared math content. So, just by using the equation editor in Moodle, it made it automatically accessible. This is, in my mind, one of the biggest advantages that Moodle has got going for it now, is that if you can get your content creators to build their pages, make their content, set it up as pages in Moodle, and use the equation editor provided by Moodle to create their equations, and they can even still use TeX. If they would rather write the equations in TeX, they can do that directly in that Moodle equation editor. There you go. Those equations will automatically just be accessible to JAWS users out of the gate now. So, huge advantage there.
Alt tab. Aaron and paste.
And I'm very glad that the demonstration
Blank.
did not
You are.
go back.
Aaron. Right track.
Okay.
Links with.
Onward and upward.
Next. Enter.
Next.
New tab page. Next visited link. A. Right track update. Montana accesses MathJax heading level. Blank. URL colon. MathJax heading level 3 link visited. AaronMPage.com visited link compatible wrapping to top.
Okay.
Update. Montana Act compatibility grid.
Here is the compatibility grid that I set up. So I tested out different kinds of accessible math content using JAWS, NVDA plus Math Player, VoiceOver on the Mac, and VoiceOver on iOS. And this table here just kind of outlines what the results were of my testing. Kind of a handy, quick reference. I had to change some of this because the documentation, I don't know if this was something that was introduced. I believe it was, since I didn't notice this before. But MathJax and NVDA, the Math Player, they now actually say that MathJax content is accessible when you're using NVDA plus Math Player. So you'll see on the table here that I did mark those as yes. However, I put 2 stars at the end of it. And the reason for that is when I tested that myself, I've got the newest version of NVDA. I downloaded the latest version of Math Player using the latest versions of Internet Explorer and Firefox. And I made sure to enable the enterprise mode, which apparently is a required thing with NVDA and Math Player to work in IE. I could not get the MathJax equations to get read out. I tried the equations in Moodle, I tried the equations on my own page, and I tried the demonstration equations on MathJax's own site. I could not get NVDA plus Math Player to read MathJax. So I put yes on here because that's what their documentation says. It says it on their websites. From my own personal testing, I have not been able to make that work. On the other hand, NVDA worked fantastic using Math Player to read MathML content. And then the other fallbacks that are provided by MathML Cloud, such as the SVG, the PNG, those will also work when you're talking with NVDA or with JAWS.
Aaron F. Blank. Montana Accessibility Interest Compatibility tab. New tab page. Math sample page visited.
I have the link to the math sample page. From here we can get to
AaronMPage.com/.
we can get to the MathML Cloud
Blank.
and show you
Heading level 1.
guys how
Blank.
it looks.
Below is a series of sets with text. Blank. The example sector tab. MathML Cloud Viz tab. Quadratic formula. Enter. MathMLCloud.org. Beneficent Technology. Incorporated link. Page has 1 region and 2 links. MathML Cloud Navigation region.
Okay, so here is the MathML Cloud main page.
There are no edit navigation screen. There are no edit boxes. Control L. Add the pop. A tab. Tab. HD tab.
It does not like JAWS and Internet Explorer, so I'm going to open this up in Firefox real quick.
Alt space. Escape. Met Control L. Paste enter. Leading menus. Firefox. Aaron. Link collapsed. Google heading level wrapping to top. Google heading level. Control L. Navigation and select paste system and selected. https://mathmcloud.enter. Google heading level 1 link graphic. Go to Google Home. MathML navigate. MathML screen M. Username edit. Password text::edit.
So here is the MathML page. You can see in the text field here, it's already got the text equation, the LaTeX equation, excuse me. So this is really all there is to it. You copy and you paste your tech equation into that text field there.
Tab.
There's
Update
the
Submit feedback button. Wrapping to
there's the button here for
Help button
updates,
Sign in button. Update
and
button.
then you get the outputs that it provides.
Page. Escape. Outputs heading level 2
So here's the
clickable.
heading for the
Blank.
outputs.
Table with output type clickable. Graphic. Text flash markup. Action description. X equals start fraction negative. Edit.
So there
Contains
was the
text.
text description. I just accidentally hit the button to
Output.
move away from it.
Blank. Table with
Under
output type
outputs.
clickable. Graphic. Text flash markup clickable.
So text/markup, this would be perfect for if you're wanting to alt tag an image of this equation.
Action clickable. Description. X equals start fraction negative b plus dash or dash minus start root b squared minus 4 is the entered over 2n fraction clickable.
So that is a text copy of that equation that you could literally copy and paste into an alt tag
X
field.
equals edit escape. Link download this PNG click graphic X equals
There's also PNG that you can get on here. There's also the SVG that you can get on here.
edit contains
And
edit
the
SVG
MathML.
clickable. Edit MML clickable. Edit space. Edit.
So like, for example, the SVG or the MathML, you could literally copy and paste that into Moodle, into your own private web page, and anything that will let you insert HTML content, and that will be good to go. For the SVG, it already went ahead and inserted that alt tag into the SVG image, so you won't need to worry about anything. If you just copied and pasted it directly out of MathML Cloud, it would be ready to go. So this is just how MathML Cloud, the main UI of it works. Like I said, it's got that other kind of more advanced functionality where it can be integrated into applications or integrated into processes. There's a lot of different things you could do with an API like that if you are creative enough and think of interesting ways to use it. So a lot of potential here, but if you just have the one equation, this is a great tool for making that equation accessible really quick.
Control W. Edit.
Go back to the
MathML
main pages here.
Cloud. Back. Title is MathM Control W. New browse blank. Visited link graphic edit. Link added title is course colon alt tab. Left bracket 0 hours. Alt shift tab.
And then
Control L. Close
the page.
Ohms MS T slash blank heading level 1 update math links list C compact JAWS enter
So the next section is
JAWS
JAWS.
accessibility group.
And so you've kind of been hearing a little bit of it just in what I've been talking about so far. So JAWS, for those of you who don't know, made by a company called Freedom Scientific. It basically is the industry standard of screen readers. It's got the biggest feature set out of all of them. It's priced accordingly. It's $1,000 for a single copy of JAWS. With JAWS 16, they introduced native MathML support. So it used to be that JAWS would also require the Math Player plugin in order to be able to read MathML content. That was a real problem before this latest version of Math Player because Math Player was limited to Internet Explorer 9 and earlier. So, Internet Explorer 9 isn't used by very many people, so it made it really hard, if not impossible, to get access to accessible MathML content using JAWS. So with JAWS 16, Freedom Scientific did away with having to use the third-party plugin. That functionality is now built into JAWS directly. So when you come across MathML equations online, JAWS will be able to read them. In a later release of JAWS 16, so they release minor updates all the time to JAWS, and in a later update they actually introduced MathJax. And I reversed that, I'm sorry. When JAWS 16 first came out, they introduced MathJax support. It was in the later release that they introduced the MathML support. But now they've got both. So if the content is being presented, filtered, rendered, whatever word you want to use, using MathJax, fine. JAWS will be able to read and interact with that just like it did in the Moodle course that I showed you earlier. If it's MathML content, fine. JAWS will be able to read and interact with that MathML content too.
Blank. Montana Access JAWS wrapping to Montana Access JAWS for Windows heading Alt-T in Enterprise mode. This is blank. Visited link line list end. Bullet no plugins required to read math content. Bullet left for May 2000. Bullet May 2015 up. Links with home. N. Next. Enter. Next visited link.
Go to the next page here. So NVDA, non-visual desktop access. It's another very popular screen reader. It is free and open source, which is very cool. Unlike JAWS, like I said, $1,000 for a single license of JAWS. NVDA is free. They, of course, encourage donations when you go to download it, but you can hit the skip donation link and still get access to it. It's pretty good in terms of its features and functionality compared to JAWS. There's a lot of, advanced things like the OCR, the virtual ribbon menus, things like that NVDA doesn't have. But if you're talking about the basic things that every screen reader user uses to interact with web content, like jumping to headings and working with links and lists and tables, all of that stuff, NVDA's got it. So you can get all of that for free, and even a lot of the keystrokes are the same as JAWS. A lot of the buttons that you use are exactly the same. So NVDA, in order to get access to math content in NVDA, it does require the Math Player plugin. The Math Player plugin, that's a plugin that's created by Design Science, same company who made MathType, that provides that MathML and MathJax support for NVDA. This actually just happened over the last month since I had first created these pages, so I had to update this. It was before that you actually had to download a specialized version of NVDA, a specialized version of it that was designed to work with the Math Player plugin. So you had to have the special version of NVDA and the Math Player plugin, and you had to know how to go and set your settings. So in Internet Explorer you have to switch on this thing they call Enterprise mode. So in the last month they got rid of all that. NVDA, you do still have to have the Math Player plugin, but it is now that you just have the default version of NVDA. You go and you download NVDA from the nvaccess.org website, and the version of it that you will get will be accessible, will work with Math Player, and will provide you with access to accessible math. I believe I mentioned this earlier. On MathJax, their site, and on Math Player now, they both state that the NVDA plus Math Player combination makes MathJax equations accessible as well. I have not been able to verify this in my testing. All of the places where I've tried using MathJax content with NVDA, it was not able to read them out correctly. So, because I was petrified of the idea of switching between screen readers live, I created a demonstration video for NVDA of it reading out some equations. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you.
Watch NVDA Math Space. NVDA Math Demo Video 201506050649111. NVDA Math Demo MC close button. NVDA Math Demo Video 201506050649111 42-YouTube frame. NVDA enter. NVDA NVDA Math Demo Video C close button. NVDA enter.
Sorry everybody, it seems like we're having some trouble getting the embedded video to play.
NVDA Math
Coming from YouTube, I'm not sure why I'd have trouble.
Wrapping to top. Share http://now2.p/p-enter http share with play http share enter tab http share with playlist checkbox HC close button NVDA Math Demo Video 2015 enter Control L address cop start.
I bet it'll work better if I pull it up in a different browser. Life of a screen reader user. Things work better in some browsers than others.
Pasted from
all of this math stuff really likes Internet Explorer.
/.
YouTube embed I have found
Heading
will operate better with Firefox sometimes.
Watch NV share button menu. Watch space. Frame. YouTube video player. Watch
TechSmith math examples for X.
Watch what pause
So
button
here we're going to
from
demonstrate
space.
math
Exit full
accessibility features available in non-visual desktop access, more commonly known as NVDA. We'll go ahead and use the same demonstration page we've used for all the other demos and testing. Let's go ahead and we'll start using the first example, which is a mathematical equation with no alternative text fallback.
H. HTTP. Select blank H. First examples. Pure MathML. No fallback heading level 2.
First example, pure MathML, no fallback heading level 2. We'll go ahead and go to the quadratic formula.
Simple quadratic formula in MathML heading level 3.
And here we go.
Math x equals the fraction with numerator negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac and denominator 2a.
So that was the equation as it was read out by NVDA. You'll notice right off the bat it identified it as math content, so called it math. And then it began to read out the equation. It read out important characters such as fraction, the square root, numerator, and denominator, and identified those specifically. So, one of the other really nice features of NVDA when working with math equations is its ability to zoom in on math equations. This allows the screen users to go ahead and navigate the equation piece by piece rather than hearing it as one long, unending equation. That gives them the ability to break it apart and understand it a little bit easier. Let me go ahead and demonstrate that for you now. So we get spacebar to interact with the math.
And now x equals the fraction with numerator negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac and denominator 2a.
So it went ahead and read out the equation again. Now I can use the down arrow to zoom in.
Zoom in x. Zoom in all of the way x.
So I'm on x equals
the fraction with numerator negative b plus or zoom in numerator negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac.
I can use up arrow to zoom back out.
Zoom out end of math
Piece.
x equals the fraction with numerator negative zoom in x equals the end of math. x equals.
This ability to zoom in, it's not as precise as the math viewer in JAWS, but it's pretty good. Gives you that ability to zoom in, so if all you wanted to hear is what is the numerator consisting of, you can zoom in on the numerator just as a numerator, or if you needed to hear the denominator in that way, or if you just wanted to know what was contained within the square root, you can use the zoom in feature to only hear those portions of the equation. So now we'll go ahead and escape to stop zooming in on the equation.
Zoom at blank.
And let's go ahead and go to the next example.
Theorem of calculus. Second examples. MathML with fallback alternative text heading level 2.
So here we've got MathML with fallback alternative text. We'll go ahead and navigate down the quadratic formula.
Simple quadratic formula in MathML with fallback heading level 3.
And we'll go ahead and let it play.
Math x equals the fraction with numerator negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac and denominator 2a.
So the equation was read out exactly the same as it was in the first example, which is to be expected since they're both MathML, the only difference being that the second example has alt-text fallback, but since the NVDA with Math Player supports reading MathML, it's not relying on that fallback. Okay, so we'll move on to the third example.
Theorem of calculus. Third examples. SVG with fallback alternative text heading level 2.
So this example is using SVGA, SVG with alternative text fallback. Could call it SVGA, SVG plus alternative text. So we'll go ahead and go down to the quadratic equation.
Simple quadratic formula in SVG heading level 3.
So quadratic formula in SVG, and here we go.
Graphic equation x equals start fraction negative b plus or minus start root b squared minus 4ac and root.
So it read out the equation, but you might have noticed something really different. Pay close attention. I'll go ahead and play it one more time. Pay close attention to right when the equation starts getting read out. Listen to what the screen reader is calling it out as.
Heading graphic equation x equals start fraction negative b plus or minus start root b squared minus 4ac and root.
So you may have noticed that it called it out as a graphic and not as math. The reason for this is because NVDA is relying on the alt-text fallback that the SVG provides in order to read out that math equation. It works, but the problem with that is it's basically reading out text, a text alt tag. It's not reading out the actual equation, so you don't have the ability to zoom in and kind of read the equation piece by piece like you could using the MathML content. Okay, so we'll move on to the last example here, and that's PNG also with alt-text fallback.
Theorem of fourth examples, PNG image with alt-attribute heading level 2.
And let's go ahead and take a look at how that's read.
Simple quadratic formula is PNG heading level 3.
We're on the quadratic formula again, and here we go.
Graphic x equals start fraction negative b plus or minus start root b squared minus 4ac and over 2it.
So, you may have noticed that it read it just exactly the same way that it did on the SVG. So, just like it was relying on the alt-text to read the SVG, it's also relying on the alt-text in order to read the PNG. So, just like with the SVG, you don't have that ability to zoom into parts of the equation like you do in MathML. But the equation itself is actually being read out to NVDA thanks to MathCloud automatically integrating that alt-text into the PNG image. So while NVDA doesn't natively support SVG and PNG in the same equation viewing as it does with MathML, the alt-text fallback that MathCloud provides with those tools works to make them accessible.
7 minutes. Dialog stop button.
Alright everybody, so that was just my little demo video that I had set up of NVDA reading out the equations, and so kind of the one big point that I wanted to hit with that is, so the SVG and the PNG content, they will be accessible when you set them up using the MathML cloud. Or if you go about it any other way and provide an alt-text description to go along with it. The downside is that ability to zoom in and break apart an equation and work with it piece by piece, That is not available when you're working with SVG or PNG. So whenever possible, it's really best to use MathML or MathJax to render out LaTeX. One of those two options, because that will provide the best level of navigation. I also mentioned in that video, and forgot to mention it earlier, so JAWS 16, when they introduced the MathJax support, they also introduced a feature they called the Math Viewer. The Math Viewer does the same thing for JAWS, what that zoom-in feature does for NVDA. It gives you the ability to zoom into the equation and break it down, read it bit by bit. Really nice thing that JAWS, that Freedom Scientific did for that, is it actually provides on-screen highlighting of what it's currently reading. The idea behind that being that if you have a teacher working with a student, the teacher can see visually what part of that equation is currently being read out to the JAWS user. So that's a really nice feature that I've somehow managed to break on my own laptop. But it is there. Works on everybody else's machine but mine now.
Heading level 1 updates and math access.
Okay,
Link
so that is
home.
NVDA plus Math Player. Pretty nice, totally free. That's the big advantage. The biggest downside, if you ask me, is that horrible sounding voice that it uses.
Next. Enter. AaronMPage.com-accessibility group
Okay,
presents.
next.
Updates Montana Act voiceover left for NOSX 10.10.
So, voiceover for OSX. I want to check this
10:41
real quick. 10:41, so we're doing good on time. Okay, so voiceover is a screen reader that comes built into Mac OS X. It took a while, but Apple has finally now introduced MathML support for voiceover. So if you go to a page with MathML content on it, the voiceover screen reader will be able to read the equation just like you were able to read it in NVDA or in JAWS. A few limitations when it comes to voiceover is, so far I've found no mechanism in voiceover that lets you break down the equation in that same kind of way that JAWS and NVDA allows you to do. So no precise navigation, and currently no support for MathJax. Anytime the equation is being filtered by MathJax, even if it was a MathML equation that is being filtered by MathJax, VoiceOver is not able to read it once the MathJax becomes involved. So I created another demonstration video of VoiceOver reading out those same batch of equations just so you can hear what it sounds like using VoiceOver. Let's see if the video embeds are going to cooperate any better.
AaronMPage.com-accessibility group presentation voiceover left for NOSX right for N dash mod tab frame wrapping to top watch access space frame act.
It's working
We'll
real.
take a look at the math support that's included with the VoiceOver screen reader that's built into the Macintosh operating system, OS X. It's a little less clear as to which version of OS X introduced the improved support for MathML. But based on what I've been reading in discussion forum, it looks like the support was really improved in OS X Mavericks 10.9. Let's go ahead and take a look at how VoiceOver on Mac reads out some of these equations. So this is going to be the same demonstration page that I've used for all the other demos. You should be able to see the dock along the bottom and the Apple menu along the top, so you can tell that I am in fact using a Macintosh. Let's go ahead and check out the first example.
Having level 2, first example is pure MathML, no fallback.
So we'll go to the first example here, which is pure MathML with no fallback. We'll read the quadratic formula like we've done in all the other demos.
Watch pause button full screen save exit full screen button.
X equals fraction start, minus x equals square root of this way, and over 2a, and the fraction with 3 items. Math.
So, it read out the equation there. Just like it did on iOS, there were a few key items that it read out. It announced the start and the end of the fraction. It also read out the start and the end of the square root. And at the very end, it did announce that it wasn't in fact math content. I'll go ahead and turn down the speech rate just so you can better hear how that's being read out.
Inside page 15%. And X equals fraction start, minus x plus or minus square root of b squared, and root over 2a.
That is painfully slow.
Fraction with 3 items. Math.
Okay. That's that equation just being read out at a really slow pace, but you should be able to understand it all at that speed. I'm going to go ahead and turn this feature rate back up.
Rate 2020 30%.
Now let's take a look at the second example.
Adding level 3, Terraner Calc. Adding level 2. Second examples, map penalty fallback alternative text.
So here we're going to have MathML that includes the fallback alternative text in case
You
it's
are
not supported.
correct. Adding level 3, quadratic formula map penalty fallback. X equals fraction start minus b sub or minus square root of b squared and root over 2a and the fraction with 3 items. Math.
And just like it did on iOS, the second example is being read out exactly the same as the first. That's because the Macintosh Simulator does now support reading out those MathML equations.
On math, adding level 3, Terraner Calc. Adding level 2, third examples,
Now we'll take a look at the third example, which is the SVG, including the alternative text fallback.
adding level 3, quadratic formula in SVG. Math. Adding level 3, Terraner Calculus. Math.
So all it's saying is math. So it looks like on OS X there is currently no support for reading out that math content coming from those SVG images. This is different than on iOS. On iOS, in fact, it was able to read out the alternative text behind the SVG images. So iOS and OS X are not entirely the same when it comes to the way that they read out the math content. But if it's pure MathML or MathML with the text behind it, either platform will read out the same. We'll take a look at the fourth example now.
Adding level 3, adding level 2, fourth examples, PNG with attribute.
The fourth example here is a PNG image with an alt text attribute.
You will
How
see
it reads.
adding level 3, quadratic formula as PNG. X equals star fraction negative b plus or minus star b squared minus 4ac over 2 and fraction image.
So, just again like on iOS, it read it out almost exactly the same as we read out the first and the second examples. But one key difference at the very end, it didn't identify this as math content. It identified it as an image. The reason for that is that the text that it just read out, the equation that it read out, is not MathML content in the page. That actually is alt text attached to that image. Since this is creating MathCloud, that alt text will automatically put in there for you. So in terms of the OS X support for MathCloud generated content, it'll work fine if you use pure MathML with alt text fallback, and it will work if you use the PNG image alt text embedded in it. Currently, though, there is no support for reading as an SVG images. Now let's go ahead and take a look at how OS X works with MathJax content. As I showed you earlier, JAWS was able to read out the MathJax content, so let's see how VoiceOver does.
Leaving HTML content.
So I went ahead and embedded the same equation, the quadratic equation, into a page on our learning management system, Moodle. Moodle has support for MathJax. It filters all the math content using MathJax, and JAWS is able to read out those equations within Moodle.
Heading level 1, basic mode, and heading level 2, quadratic formula.
So we're at the top of the page for quadratic formula.
The quadratic formula is
The quadratic formula is
with 2 items, math.
with 2 items, math. Interesting, huh? Let's go ahead and interact
You
with that
are
and see what it
correct.
does.
Interact with math, X, clickable,
Interact with X clickable.
equals, clickable,
As I arrow through it,
minus,
it reads
clickable,
out some of this equation.
A, plus or minus, A, clickable, 2, clickable, minus, clickable, 4, clickable.
So you'll notice on every single part of this equation, it calls it out as
You
clickable.
are correct.
And unlike the MathML content, it did not announce the start and ending of the square root, the start and ending of the fraction, but it did at least identify it as math content. So,
it looks like OS X is working towards having support for reading that MathJax filtered content, but it's just not there yet. Okay, that was the demonstration of math content in OS X. So looking forward to seeing them get the MathJax, really working perfect there. Then it will be a solution that works across all of the most well-known and popular assistive technologies when it comes to screen readers.
Home.
So,
next. aaronmpage.com/accessibility.
So, iOS.
Blank.
So, iOS has the ability to read that MathML content now. This is pretty nice for anybody who, likes to do web browsing on the mobile. When you're talking about mobile accessibility, right now you pretty much are talking about iOS. I can't remember the exact numbers, but the most recent WebAIM screen reader survey, iOS dominated all of the other manufacturers. It was single digits for all of the others, as I recall. So iOS really is the accessible platform, and if anybody's ever been to the CSUN conference in San Diego, it sounds like you're walking through an Apple store or you're in an Apple advertisement because you just hear iDevices talking everywhere. So iOS has the ability to read that MathML content. Unfortunately, it does not have the ability to read out the MathJax content, but hopefully, like on OS X, hopefully they're working on getting that support for iOS as well. I have the demo video here.
Watch accessibility space frame. Watch the pause button mute button full screen space. aaronmpage.com/accessibility group presentation voiceover left for an
VoiceOver is the screen reader that comes built in on all your iOS devices, including iPads, iPods, and iPhones. Starting with iOS 7, VoiceOver now has the ability to read out math equations that are written using MathML. Go ahead and show you some examples. On the screen here you can see the same MathML page that I've done the other demonstrations from, just so you know that I'm not cheating. I'll show you my iOS home screen here.
Netflix.
There you can see it's the home screen. This is coming from my own iPhone, which is running iOS version 8. It's an iPhone 6. We'll go ahead and go back into Safari.
Safari. Second examples. View quadrat, simple fraction. First examples. Pure MathML. No fallback. Heading level 2.
So we'll go ahead and start by reading the first example. This example is just pure MathML. It's had all of the fallbacks removed from it. So there's nothing here that the screen reader can read other than the MathML content.
Simple fraction, quadratic formula in MathML. Heading level 3.
We'll go ahead and read the quadratic formula. Here we go.
X equals fraction start. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 ac end of root over 2a end of fraction. Math.
There were a few key things there that the screen reader read out in the process of reading that equation that prior to the MathML support it would not have read before. So it read the start and the end of the fraction, it read the start and the end of the square roots, and at the end of it, it specifically called out math. Prior to MathML support being around, those would just have been read as blank spaces by the screen reader, and it would not have at the end identified it as a math equation. We'll go down to the second example here.
X. Theorem of Cap. Second examples. MathML with fallback alternative text. Heading level 2.
So this second example here is MathML, the same as what we saw up above, but this time it includes alternative text fallback. This is in case the device doesn't have support for the MathML.
Simple fraction, quadratic formula in MathML with fallback. Heading level 3.
We'll go ahead and read the quadratic formula again. Here it goes.
X equals start fraction negative b plus or minus start root b squared minus 4c and root over 2 end fraction. X equals fraction start negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 ac end of root over 2 a end of fraction. Math.
You might have noticed that this equation was rather exactly the same as the equation up above. This is because iOS has support for MathML, so it didn't need to rely on the alternative text fallback. It read it out just exactly as it did the one up above. We'll go down to the third example.
X. Theorem of third examples. SVG with fallback alternative text. Heading level 2.
So this third example is going to be SVG, also with alternative fallback text.
Simple quadratic formula in XEG. Heading level, equation start fraction x cubed over y in fraction. Math.
And again, it was able to read out the equation just fine. It called it out as math. So again, here, because it has support for reading the MathML, it did not need to rely on that alternative text fallback, so it was able to read out the equation, calls it out as math at the end. And then the fourth example.
Theorem of calculus. Fourth examples. PNG image with alt attribute. Heading level 2.
This fourth example is the PNG image with an alt text attribute.
Theorem of fourth examples. Simple quadratic formula is PNG. Heading level 3.
We'll go ahead and read out the quadratic formula.
X equals start fraction negative b plus or minus start root b squared minus 4c and root over 2n fraction. Image.
So you'll notice that that was read out again exactly the same as the others, but with one slight difference. At the end of the equation, rather than identifying it as math, it identified it as an image. That's because in this case, with the PNG, there is no MathML that's embedded behind it. This is actually an image that was created from MathCloud. MathCloud automatically put the alternative text in the image, and the screen reader is reading out the alternative text. So as you can see, math support on iOS, it supports all of the output formats that you get from MathCloud. So now let me show you MathJax support.
Math.osu.edu. Show bookmark. Share. Forward. Pages. But. Math examples are accessible. Close Moodle Mountain 101. Close tab. Activate item. Moodle Mountain 101. Quadratic formula. Button. Navigation. Quadratic formula. Disk name. Quadratic navigation. Navigate name. Quadratic formula. Heading
We're on the quadratic formula equation heading.
The
This is
quadratic
in Moodle.
formula is
It says the quadratic formula is
math.
math.
Double tap to view math in full screen.
Double tap to view math in full screen.
Math.
Double tap.
Double tap to view math in full screen.
Lo and behold, nothing seems to happen. So, right now, on iOS devices, there is support for reading content that's being generated in MathML. So that means math content that's written up in math type, or things like LaTeX that have been converted using MathCloud. Those can all be read out using VoiceOver on iOS. Unfortunately, the math support on iOS is still limited. It does not support reading MathJax equations currently.
Links list. And next enter.
Okie dokie, so that was the last demo video, I promise. So, in a nutshell, this is really coming a long way. A year, 2 years ago especially, none of this really was available. And it's just improving all the time. It's been amazing to follow and see these technologies as they develop. MathML is supported across the board. So that is pretty amazing. You know, MathJax is right behind it. Hopefully they'll get it working perfectly with NVDA and with iOS and fix the little bugs with OS X. But MathML is there. So they've already got the template for how to do it right, navigating math using MathML. They just need to apply it to the MathJax. So looking forward to seeing where accessible math goes in the future. On this page, I just included some resources that I thought might be helpful.
Update Montana add additional with EPUB heading level 4.
EPUB is, George, I believe, is on this webinar, so he could speak to it better than I could. But if you ask me, it's the file format of the future for books. It's basically a zip file containing CSS, XML, and HTML pages. And because it contains HTML pages, that means it can have MathML in it. So, hopefully, haven't had a chance to test this yet, but I know that I'm part of the EPUB working group, and this is something on our agenda, is to get some MathML content in EPUB and start testing the support for that among different EPUB reading applications and devices. So really looking forward to seeing that. If that all works according to plan, then that'll be a perfect solution for providing accessible math textbooks, which is a huge and very expensive issue. Costs lots of money to make a Braille math textbook.
Empty Reader heading level 4
Empty
link.
Reader. This is a new one that I was just recently introduced. One of the things we've been trying to figure out here on our campus is how to convert these documents that are built entirely in LaTeX into MathML they're built entirely in the latex, so all of the styling and the formatting, everything is in there. So how to convert all of that into MathML content that can be accessed using a screen reader without going through some long, arduous process. INFTY Reader is a potential solution for that. We tried it out using a trial on some documents provided by one of our math faculty, and we were able to use INFTY Reader to convert those tech documents into accessible MathML that could be read by JAWS in Internet Explorer. So definitely some potential there. That's a really huge solution for those content creators in higher mathematics that you can't possibly expect them to start building everything in Microsoft Word. INFTY Reader here could be the solution for that. One note, if you are a screen reader user and you go to this site, you are probably going to notice some kind of oddness with the way things are getting read. I don't know if it's spelling or grammar differences or what, but it's a little interesting to read with the screen reader, but it's a great product.
Free Grok Calc heading level 4
Free
link.
Grok Calc. This was one I came across when I was in Stat 216. It's a free graphing calculator app for the iPad. The graphing features really aren't accessible, but all of the scientific calculator features pretty much were. So this is a pretty nice tool to use if you have an iPad. If you are visually impaired or blind, you use a screen reader. It's free, so you don't really have anything to lose, but it can help you do most of the functions that you'll see in a standard scientific calculator.
Easy Financial Calculator heading level 4
Easy
link.
Financial Calculator. This was a lifesaver for me in my business finance class. This is also an iOS app. I know I had it on my iPad. It's probably available for the iPhone as well. But it basically replaces the functionality of a business calculator. So if you're wanting to do things like time value of money, annuities, those kind of functions are available on this app. This one was not free, but it was completely accessible, so it really saved my bacon when it came to business finance class.
Diagram Center heading level 4 link.
Diagram Center, this is a terrific resource for what to do with your charts and graphs. This is a huge question, and there's not really one set answer to it. In some cases, you can provide the data, and that will work. In other cases, it might be too complex, or there's too many data points to make that work, so other solutions have to be looked into. Diagram Center is a great resource. I would highly recommend everybody go there and read the information they have about making charts and diagrams accessible.
Windows Calculator head.
I put Windows Calculator on here partially because I thought it was funny, but also because it's true. I actually use Windows Calculator quite a bit. All of your simple calculator functions easily done using JAWS and Windows Calculator. So I sometimes think that this might be something that's kind of overlooked because it's there and it does work. And it can do most of those simple mathematical functions that you want. There is the scientific mode in it, but I find that I have a harder time navigating it when I turn on the scientific mode, so I can't honestly say if the scientific mode is very accessible or not. I found it difficult to navigate.
Microsoft Excel.
And then I also listed Excel, because in Excel you can do a lot of your scientific scientific calculator type functions like logarithms and square roots and pi and all those different kind of things. So Excel, just creating equations in Excel works fine with a screen reader. So this is another potential solution. This really got me through accounting, was using Excel to complete those kind of math functions. So those are just a few helpful resources. Like I said, I'll keep these pages up. Marlene shared the link in the chat. I hope you guys found this useful. Let's see what time it is.
11:03 a.m.
11:03. So wow, that timed just perfectly. I'm more than happy to stick around for a few more minutes and answer any questions if anybody would like. I know Marlene will share the video, and thank you guys for letting me present.
Thanks, Aaron. That was really great. And in the chat, Jaylene did ask if this was being recorded, and we are recording it, and that recording will go up on the Montana Accessibility Interest Group website, and it will be captioned as we can get to that. So if there are any questions, you can either hit the audio button or you can type them in the chat. I'm very well address those. Jaylene says thanks in the chat.
I can hear you, Heather. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing good.
And I just tell you how much this presentation warmed my heart, especially with my new position. I'm so excited, and I'm actually going to talk to Ryan about the best way to forward this information to all of the teachers who work within the field, because I mean, it's all math content and working with all math instructors at this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for putting this together.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you found it useful. And like I said, those pages are up there, so feel free to give them to your people and they can reference them as they'd like.
Yeah, this is just great. So great. Great job, Erin.
Thanks.
So we're 5 minutes after the hour. Jaylene has a question. Is IFTY Reader just doing OCR on LaTeX, or do you feed it a file?
So I didn't actually do the conversion of this, so I can't answer that perfectly, but from what I've read about the program, it actually uses Abby FineReader to OCR a paper document and then can convert that into MathML. I didn't see anything where it says that you can directly input the tech into it and have it straight out converted. But I do know that if you have a completed math document like a handout that you give in class, using IFTY Reader, that can be scanned and converted into MathML.
Great, thanks, Jaylene. I believe now it's 6 minutes past the hour and people will probably be leaving. I just would like to mention that next month, for September 4th, we're going to have Carl Morari and Joanna Hunt as our guest speakers. Joanna Hunt is Blackboard's Accessibility Manager, and Carl Morari is Senior Product Manager for Blackboard Collaborate. And they're going to talk about what it takes to make an accessible web conferencing system. So you got a sneak preview of that. This system they're still refining, but they're going to be talking about web conferencing and accessibility. The following month, on October 2nd, George Kirscher will be joining us to talk about EPUB 3. And as Erin mentioned, that may again bring up some math discussion that I'm very anxious to have George present to us on EPUB. So that will happen, and then if any of you have any guest speakers that you would like to recommend, be sure and let the group know, and we'll go from there. It's just really great having these presentations. Erin, thank you so much. This was incredible, and I really appreciate the website that you built for this as well. And that link is in the chat. So that being said, Erin will stay around for a few more minutes if you have any questions. Otherwise, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to talking with you again in September.